What is up, everyone? What is up? Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. I know, I said for a while I wouldn't be doing Wednesday streams because, well, I had a class to do. But I think I progressed far enough in the class that, I can study, on my own and everything. And, pass my exams and all that. I just needed to take a in-person class for some of my lessons just to work out some of the finer points. We were at the restaurant and the guy gave us to-go boxes, and Jillian was boxing everything up, and he pointed towards the boxes, which was towards her, and said, "Do you want a bag for that?" And without missing a beat, I said, "No, man, she's not that ugly." The waiter damn near pissed himself. That's a good one. That's a good one. I've done stuff like that before. I remember when I was a little kid, I was a little, pissant that would hit on girls all the time. And it'd be like, hey, go to the cashier. Like, say you see a cute girl over at Wendy's or whatever. I'd like a burger, fries, your number, and a shake. I was like 9 or 10 years old, and apparently I was like that bossy. Of course, it's like this weird dichotomy of, when you're little, it's cute. When you're old, depending on the way they go about it, it can also be cute. But then, there's somewhere in the middle where it's just like, I don't know. But anyway, what's everyone up to this Wednesday? I've been studying hard for my general license. I don't know if you've seen my Blue Sky, Mastodon, and the Discord chats about it, where I've been studying hard so that I can pass my ham exam. I've been using hamradioprep.com as well as hamstudy.org and the ARRL official textbook for it. Do I run I2P? Not that often, but I have run it before. I've set up, running I2P on top of Tor so you can get the best of both worlds and stuff like that. Got a question. I'm on Arch. Well, I'm sorry for you. I know the grass. It's kind of scary. But is it worth setting up Darling, or is it not worth as much as Wine? Haven't really played with Darling much. I've been fine with Wine. I'm kind of basic when it comes to the setups I use, because I've been in Linux so long. Like, everyone's doing the distro hopping and everything like that, and I'm like, I'm done. I found my setup. It works. My apps work. That's all I need. We'll probably be watching the video in a little bit that was sent to me. Apparently, Jay's 2 cents made a video about gaming on Linux. So we'll do a little Mystery Science Theater reaction there. Yeah. We'll go from there. But, yeah, I've been doing, You get me an IT job? It's a tough market out there, buddy, honestly. So for those of you not aware, hamstudy.org is really great for tests and everything. God damn. In light mode, it is really tough. Oh, I wish you luck, buddy. It's tough out there. It really is. Like, I'm not saying that lightly. It's a pretty tough market right now. Not to get too political or anything, Trump's uncertainty with tariffs and everything has caused a lot of hiring managers to reconsider if they want to hire right now. I don't care if you're left. I don't care if you're right. The reality is businesses need stability and they need certainty, and that's the reality of it. And his wishy-washy approach to, yeah, we'll tariff them. No, we won't. Yeah, we tariff them. No, we won't. And not understanding the ripple effects of that has caused turmoil on a lot of different hiring positions, for especially in tech departments, because unfortunately, many businesses don't look at us as critical, whether it be in tech, IT, cybersecurity. They look at us as just kind of an expense until they actually have a cybersecurity incident. Then they realize we're actually an investment. But once interest rates go down, hiring will explode. Not really. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions with how we're hiring with interest rates. They think that if the Fed puts interest rates down, that it actually will cause everything to go. But the reality is, a lot of interest rates, like the Fed doesn't set the overall interest rate. They can influence interest rates. What I mean by that is, like, if you look at something like the mortgage market, for example, mortgages. Do you know how the mortgage market works? I'm going to simplify this a little bit. They are sold as mortgage-backed securities, and investors buy these in bundles from the different banks and everything. So banks, when they give you a loan, they're not holding on to the loan. A 30-year loan is a very risky proposition for anyone. 30 years, even at 5 to 6%, when you can easily put your money down on Dow Jones or, any of the NASDAQ indexes and make 10% over there, which is considered relatively conservative. That's a really risky proposition to have. And what they do is they get these mortgages, they back them, they bundle them into mortgage-backed securities, and then they sell these to investors. The investors sent the interest rate. Now, why was the interest rate really low, for example, in the housing market a few years ago? Because the Fed was buying these mortgage-backed securities to prevent the crash that happened in 2008. And because the government can give a guarantee, they can have lower interest rates. It's not nearly as simple as people think. And even if they lower interest rates, it doesn't lower the interest rate across everything. The problem is a lot of people are dumping U.S. bonds. We saw when Trump did his little thing, what was it? The mortgage rate went up, I think like 0.25% or something. The interest rates overall. And 0.25% meant that we now had to pay more interest on the debt that the U.S. is paying out. Explain a mortgage to you like you're 5. Okay, so you want to go buy this property. For round numbers, we'll just say it's $250,000. $250,000 is a big chunk of change for anyone, no matter what. I wouldn't say no matter what, but for anyone in the middle class, the average everyday person in the United States, that's a lot of money. Very few people are going to have $250,000 out of pocket. So what you do is you go get a loan, and it's a collateralized loan because you're buying an asset that actually can be repossessed, go into foreclosure. So the bank can actually make money on that. They assess your risk based on the amount of money you have that coming in, as well as the ability that you have to pay these off, and things like that. I'm simplifying this quite a bit. So then you break that down into a different loan. Now you can have like 5-1 loans, which is what? You have a guaranteed rate for 5 years, and then you can have it adjust once a year. The conventional mortgage loan is a fixed interest rate loan that it will always be fixed to that cost for the entirety of the life. And those usually go 15, 20, 25, 30-year loans. Now, as far as what's up, It's Just Dev? How's it going, bud? Now, as far as interest rates, like, everyone has this misconception, and I did too years ago, that the Fed controls all interest rates. In fact, I actually found an interesting video here. We can go through this. That actually went through and explained this a little bit. Your male cat is horny and has done nothing but overstimulate me. What are you doing to your cat, bro? Thoughts on TP-Link products? Are they actually that bad, or is it fear-mongering? So the argument is pretty much that anyone dealing with the Chinese government, they intentionally have to allow for... I'm simplifying this a little bit. The government has to be made aware of, security issues that they can patch and potentially exploit and all that. Here's the reality. You think the U.S. government hasn't been doing that already? Do y'all not remember Eternal Blue? When we literally had ransomware going around the world because hacking tools got leaked that were from the NSA? Yeah. The US just doesn't like it when it's on the other shoe. But let me put it this way. Are there better products than TP-Link? Yes. Is it worth going and getting, you know, crazy about it and ripping everything out? I don't know about that. Would I personally install them? No. But if you already have them, If you're thinking about buying a new router, like you're thinking about an upgrade, okay, maybe replace it. But yeah, if it's not in the business, I wouldn't worry about it. If it's just your personal home, I mean, I wouldn't be too worried about it. But anyway, I found a video. Let me see. By the way, my feed on YouTube is now all filled with tons and tons of stop killing games videos. You know, you watch one video and then it feeds you into other videos. Okay, here we go. God damn, that's loud. Got my mixer loud. Looking at one for an IoT AP Wi-Fi router. The honest truth, what I do for my stuff is I have an entire VLAN for my IoT stuff, and then I connect my devices to that. Like, I just got a new device I'm going to talk about later. I'm comparing a couple to control my mini split. Okay, so I watched this guy. I haven't watched the video all the way through, but the beginning where he's talking about mortgage rates was probably one of the easiest ways I've heard it explained to the average person.
Something weird is happening.
What's your opinion on Zen Browser? Zen Browser's a fork of Firefox. It's fine.
To levels that we haven't
From Reddit, a vegan, a CrossFitter, a Linux, and a Raspberry Pi owner walk into a bar. It's the same guy. Only one guy walked into the bar. Oh God, why won't he shut up?
80s.
That's your average DEF CON experience.
If the Fed is going to lower down interest rates, then we are going to have lower mortgage rates.
Okay.
But that's not how it works, and it's not going to happen. So even if the Fed is going to lower down interest rates, mortgage rates are not coming down for the reason that I will explain here in this video. So if you're ready, give this video a thumbs up, and let's find out when mortgage rates will finally come down.
I haven't seen this guy before, but he had a pretty good explanation.
Works. You
There
go
you
to
go.
a bank and you borrow a mortgage. So for the bank to provide you with a lower mortgage rate, then they must borrow that money from the Fed at a lower interest rate. So it all comes down to the Federal Reserve. But this is not how the banking system works. The banks work in such a way that they borrow money from investors at a certain...
So the long and short of it is he's talking about what the average person thinks a mortgage actually works. And I was even mistaken believing this. When you go to get a mortgage from a bank, your mortgage is actually sold relatively quickly afterwards. It's kind of interesting where you'll actually get notifications very often that, oh, this mortgage has been sold to that person, to that person, that person. There was one person I was talking to that said that when they had their mortgage, it was sold within like 3 months to like 10 different companies. And they just kept getting letters. And they couldn't figure out where to actually pay the loan.
A higher interest rate, let's say 8%, and pocketing the difference. In fact, if you look at the numbers, on average, they borrow 50 times more money from investors than the Federal Reserve. And the Fed only exists there in order to stabilize the market and not provide them with free money. So if you want lower mortgage rates, then the banks should somehow convince the investors it's safe to invest and loan your money at the lower interest rates to the banks.
All in all, the same story pretty much goes to most investments, by the way, which is that investors will generally want to invest in things that they will get a return on their money. And real estate is seen as a relatively safe investment.
But even if you convinced or manage to do that, then you have to understand that 30-year mortgages are extremely risky. It's not the kind of investment that anybody would want to make, because you don't...
Well, the average person that owns a home, their house is their largest asset. So not everyone, but the average investor doesn't want to make that large of an investment. They'd rather, if they could, put the money that they would in a house in a higher interest, not interest, a higher, a more profitable venture.
Oh, what's going to happen in 30 years from now? Another pandemic, another recession, another depression, massive devaluation of the dollar, you name it, it doesn't matter. That's why banks would never want to provide you with a 30-year mortgage. So the question is that how on earth did the banks keep providing them for so many years? It makes no sense. When the banks create and give you the 30-year mortgage, they turn them into mortgage-backed securities, bundle them under one giant security, and then sell them to investors, and they're backed by the government of the United States.
This kind of more or less plays back into the issues we had in the 2008 financial collapse, just so you're aware, where you had the issues with subprime loans and everything. They were more concerned with getting the securities to be sold. I'm oversimplifying things.
So
after this little explanation is done, we're going to go to the Jay's 2 cent video.
The bank, you're actually paying the investors who purchased the mortgage-backed securities. So the rates on the mortgage-backed securities determine your mortgage rate. And the only reason that investors would want to buy mortgage-backed securities is because they're being backed by the government of the United States.
So an interesting thing that you can do if you ever want to figure out what the going rate is of things, because listen to the key word he was talking about. It's not the government setting the interest rate, it's the market. So there's something called the prime rate. You should look into this. I was trying to get that tab. Nope. Made the window too small. So there's something called the prime rate. You can get this from the Wall Street Journal usually. But right now I know it's about 7.5% because I check it pretty often. And you can see the historical prime rate. This is kind of where a lot of the market, not all of them, bases their expenses off of. Thank you for the follow, VM Vaz. What distro am I using? I'm using Pop! OS Linux. So you can actually look through and see. This is the prime rate that the market was having for interest rates. And right now, it's relatively high. This is not set by the Fed. This is set by market investors. So you can see like 2020, 4.25, 2022, 3.5. And then it starts going up, 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 up. And now it's starting to come down just a little bit. But it's been at 7.5% for a little while. You can find this in the Wall Street Journal. In fact, a lot of different loans, if you actually pay attention to them, like when they say they're variable loans, they say that they will have it fixed to prime rate. So it'll be several points above or below prime rate as printed in the Wall Street Journal. So, yeah. The prime rate is the interest rate that banks use as a basis to set rates for different types of loans, credit cards, and lines of credit. Certain mortgage rates, like variable rate mortgages, home equity loans, and home equity lines of credit, may also be affected by published rate. So, that's an important number to know that a lot of people look over when they're like, well, you know, the interest rate is this. How does it get there? It's a myriad of different factors.
Well, if this is the case, then how did we have 2 or 3% mortgage rates back in 2020? Because if you think about it, nobody would want to buy a mortgage-backed security or any kind of security and lock his money for the next 30 years only receiving 3% interest. Because by the time you're going to get your money back, it's going to worth absolutely nothing. Then 2020 and 2021 absolutely debunks that idea. But to answer that question, you have to take a look at the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve. This is how much...
This is what was interesting that I saw a little earlier.
...holds in its balance sheet, or its disposal. Prior to 2008 financial crisis, the Federal Reserve did not hold any kind of mortgage-backed securities, because the...
And they did actually stabilize the market a little bit during COVID, because they learned their lesson about not backing the average person, the housing market, because you heard of a lot of people getting their houses underwater and things like that.
Was not involved in...
Look, I'm not always a fan of government intervention, but there are ways that a clock can be right twice a day.
housing
A
market.
broken clock can be right twice a day.
That the
So
housing
the USA recently hit 5%
house price
Linux users recently. I listened to a podcast that briefly mentioned it. No, I haven't heard that, but
2008
I've been seeing, it's interesting though. We're going to get into this talk a little bit. We're going to be watching the Jay's 2 sentence video. I just wanted to go over this because I saw this a little earlier.
recession proved that's not the case.
But we'll get into the Linux talk in a little bit before we get into Warframe and stuff.
Realize that if the Fed does not step in right now and saves the housing market, it will keep dragging the entire US economy and therefore the global economy down. So they step in and they start buying mortgage-backed securities. And that's why if you look at the balance sheet of the Fed, you instantly see a huge hike that they bought trillions of dollars of mortgage-backed securities. This is what drove interest rates on the mortgages down and down, and it did not happen instantly. Because if you go back to 2008, nobody's buying mortgage-backed securities.
I'm trying to find the average rate.
Super high.
So this is what's interesting that you should know. When people are like, wow, interest rates are so high, this is the average of interest rates going back to 71. When our parents were buying their houses, these were the interest rates they were at. Now, of course, I'm not accounting for the purchasing power of the dollar back then versus now. That's a whole other argument that you can have. But as you can see, like, just in the start of the Reagan years, they're at close to 20% interest over here for 30-year mortgages. And it started coming down and down, and 2013 was probably when we got our first pre-pandemic, or our absolute pre-pandemic low, and then the pandemic happened to just hit it into weird levels because of that. Didn't they also not have credit till 1988? Something like that, credit scores. Yeah, credit scores were totally different. Anyone that was born basically in the 1980s or sooner, there's a reason why they have a lot, well, not 1980s, that's a lot of Gen Xers, but yeah. So, yeah, this is what's interesting, is when people are like, wow, interest rates are so high. Look at what interest rates our parents were paying when we were in high school or middle school. Okay, this time I was not in middle school. I was like in elementary in 2000s, okay? So, like, you go back to the 90s when I was a little kid, these rates are still higher than it is now. So when people say, wow, housing is, so expensive because of the interest rates, it's expensive relative to this. Now, I won't fault you and say that housing themselves isn't expensive. It is. It really is. It's horrible. But I think a lot of people oversimplify the financial markets of different things. And I was guilty of that for a long time until I started, like, many years ago, just trying to ask myself, okay, let's pull this thread. What happens if, this can happen? Why can't the government just step in and change it? And there's a little bit more to it. So even if Jerome Powell steps away from the Fed and you get another person in and Donald Trump's like, I want you to adjust interest rates. The free market, the actual investors that control a lot of the mortgage-backed securities can just go, 9%. And there's nothing Donnie Boy can really do about it. What's he going to do? Enact socialist policies that actually would be price controls and stuff like that, which end up chasing people away in terms of, investing capital? It'd be a fun... Don't get me wrong, I would certainly enjoy the schadenfreude of Donald Trump embracing socialist ideas to somehow get endorsed by his capitalist buddies. Look, man, I'm just an equal opportunity hater.
And then the Fed steps in and starts buying
USA Linux has achieved a 5% desktop market share according to StatCounter. I'm about to look that up in a little bit.
them, which that huge demand for the mortgage-backed securities by the Fed artificially lowers down mortgage rates. In 2012, you see another hike when the Fed started buying mortgage-backed securities. And if you compare that to what's happening today, interest rates on 30-year government bonds, they kept going down as well. And that's why in 2020, there was another hike. When the COVID pandemic happened in 2020, the Fed realized that they got their lessons from 2008, and they realized if we don't step in right now and start buying massively mortgage-backed securities, the entire economy has the potential to collapse. So instead of waiting...
Yeah, he goes into that a little bit more, but I think y'all basically get the gist of what I'm talking about. When people say interest rates are, you know, like so easy, like, oh, Donald Trump is going to control that. No, he can't. The people like to oversimplify a lot of things in finance, but it's always a little bit more complicated than that. All right, so Jay apparently tried Linux. Now, I just want to say this. All right? I have been talking about using Linux for gaming and stuff for a decade. Why is it that, you know, it's turned from, oh, you're just a nerd, you know, nobody's ever going to use Linux and all that, and you're just hating on me for using Linux. And now suddenly, you got a bunch of people that are like, oh, you're cool if you use Linux. This is like the same issue that I have with anime being cool now. I got bullied for that stuff, okay? I was the weird kid for liking anime growing up. I don't know. Look, I'm not a, you know, proponent of bullying. Just saying, I feel like there should be an admittance fee of one swirly. Just one. I'm joking, okay, to be clear here. But anyway, video saying you can now game on Linux. I've been doing that for years. I've been gaming on Linux longer than I have been on TikTok. And I've been on TikTok for god near 5... Oh my god, I've been on TikTok for 5 years. Something just died inside of me. But anyway, I've been talking about gaming on Linux for years. I've been talking about how Linux is this great thing and that people should really give it a chance. And the argument was always, you know, to me, oh, you know, nobody's ever going to use Linux. It's never really going to get mainstream. Nobody's going to really like it. And then suddenly, like, the needle started shifting more and more as gaming got easier, where it wasn't as so, you know, hard to do it. And then Valve actually saw the tunnel and was like, yes, we need to embrace this thing. And I've been gaming on Linux even before the, you know, Valve was on Linux. I mean, Steam was on Linux. When we were playing Half-Life and everything, using Wine and all that stuff with the wrappers. And I've been, I played the Linux port of Steam when it was in beta. I've been using Steam since it was in beta. And then Valve, you know, came out the Steam Deck and everyone's like, oh my god! This is amazing! And then, you know, everyone's just slowly, like, waking up to the reality of what I've been saying, that no longer are you the weird person because you want to use Linux. Now everyone is trying to, like, get away from Microsoft because, to Kara's point, people are getting sick of Microsoft. I'm dreading the fact that this stream box over here that's running the streams is running Windows 10 Enterprise. I have to upgrade that to Windows 11 Enterprise because I'm running Elgato hardware. I got Stream Decks, 3 key lights, the prompter, and the capture cards, and an AverMedia one on top of it. And until I can, you know, sit down and figure out how to get that all working properly on Linux to the same workflow, I just can't quite switch over. But this box is basically just a stream box, but I always needed a Windows box to do bare metal Windows testing anyway. But the computer that y'all are seeing me, you know, do everything on, this guy's Linux. This guy's for Linux full time. This guy's Windows all the time. And this guy is quiet most of the time. Like, after stream's done, this guy gets shut down. Why have VeraCrypt on launch? Because I use VeraCrypt a lot. Not a lot. But I like it a little bit more when I need to containerize some things that I like to just keep secure when I throw it on my NAS or stuff. It's just that habit I have. What version of Chrome is that? It's Chromium. That's what Chrome's based on. It's the fully open sourced, version. Can we delete Arch Linux then? But anyway, the bullying gave you memories. The bullying gave me trauma. The bullying built character, okay? Anyway. Yeah, it's Pop OS. My friends that were hesitant on Linux suddenly in my DMs asking about Linux. Even my coworkers that sees my laptop that has a huge Linux Mint sticker on the back have been asking me about it. People have been asking me because they see my logo. Because I have the penguin with the rifle. And they kind of figure I must be a Linux guy. Because they're starting to recognize the penguin. And I'm getting asked about it a lot. And it's so weird that the conversation, a lot of times with people, hasn't been... It's shifted from, what is Linux? And I go, well, it's another operating system. You've got Windows, you've got Mac, and you've got Linux. To, how do I use Linux? How do I install Linux? Like, Linux is now becoming a part of people's vocabulary. Also, there's a better version of Pop Shop built from Pop OS. Yeah. I know they're based in America. Well, System 76 is pretty solid. I have a laptop of theirs upstairs. I am actually using their keyboards. This is the System 76 Launch Heavy. I use the System 76 Launch over here. This is the same keyboard without the numpad. Just because I wanted a little smaller one for the space, but I need my numpad. I like System 76. But my main laptop is a Tuxedo Computers because I needed something at an AMD CPU and an NVIDIA GPU so I could switch to the AMD GPU, save some battery power, and then also get NVIDIA whenever I need it on the fly. I also use a Purism laptop, which is completely open source on the BIOS side of things, but I may be switching over to another company for that for Cubes OS. Do you use AI a lot? Why don't you make apps? Because I'm not a developer. I develop things here and there in Python, PowerShell, and Bash for work, but maybe an occasional Lambda, serverless computing using Terraform, well, OpenTofu now, and then, pushing it through Spacelift and stuff like that into AWS, but no, I'm not. You go to Morocco this summer? No, I didn't go to Morocco this summer. I probably won't be back for a few months or something. Aren't you tempted by the money? I got money in cybersecurity. Okay, so let's see what Jay is talking about. When I discovered Linux, it changed my life when it came to websites, email hosting. Yeah, I actually discovered Linux when I was a little kid, so I was fortunate enough that I had a family friend that was like, hey, I'm like 8, 9 years old. You ever heard of this thing called Linux? Like, no. He's like, okay, I'm going to show you Linux. Here's a little CD. We're going to boot it up. And then we're going to go for a war drive. What's war driving? Oh, you're going to like that. We're going to go take the neighbor's Wi-Fi. I had fun friends growing up, okay? Friends in my family were really fun.
To Linux. So welcome to the very first Linux video I'm ever going to have made on this channel. I say ever going to have made because I might do some follow-ups to us trying out this box here that we built.
He's going to do more. Watch.
But in all of the time that I have been doing YouTube...
I'm not against AI. I'm against people using it as a crutch. There's a total difference.
Every of the time since August 26, 2012, I have never touched a Linux topic in my life.
Which AI do I recommend? There's different ones for different purposes.
Opinionated mother... Enhance your...
You know what's funny is people say Linux people are very opinionated, but the honest truth is it's a very, very small vocal minority. The average Linux person that I've seen come across is just like, Let's just get you to where you're happy with your computer. Now, of course, you got those Arch people. Sit down. We know you use Arch. Shush. Okay? You just sit down in your corner, have your bag of Cheetos, and you know, the rest of us are going to touch grass. But anyway, the honest truth is I find more of the people that are like, no, you got to use Microsoft, are way more opinionated. Console gamers are probably the most opinionated out of all of them. At least in my experience. Your results may vary. That's been my honest opinion with things. Because every time I say I use Linux for gaming and stuff like that, it's never, it's very seldomly from the diehard gamers, like, oh, that's cool. It's usually, well, why the hell would you do that? You can't do a lot of gaming.
Monitor setup with the ViewSonic VP27885K, featuring 100% sRGB, 99% DCI P3 colors.
Gen 2 people as well. Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Perfectly with Mac's industry-leading color performance.
Oh, I want to make this very clear because I'm probably going to put this on YouTube later when we break this down for a React video. I do Mystery Science Theater videos, so I may talk over the video, okay? I don't like to do the whole pausing thing too much, even though I am right now. Yeah, I know, I just called myself out. Because I'm going to make the video way longer.
Laptops, PCs, Macs, and more with Thunderbolt 4, USB-C, HDMI DisplayPort, and USB inputs. If you're looking to increase your screen real estate for projects, click the link in the description.
Looks like an interesting monitor, though.
Yeah, how come you're not using Arch Linux?
He called it out! He called it out!
The last time I touched the Linux kernel was Ubuntu back in like 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. It's been a long time. That was back when I worked in a software development office and I was bored. I had a laptop up and was messing around.
I'm scared of Gen Beta. Also, they don't exist. Well, they're a beta generation. They're in test right now.
Gaming system for Linux, well, a gaming system built running Linux, to kind of just see what it's like from a very beginner's perspective.
I just realized my background music is probably going to clash with his.
Because I want to get aggressive with you down in the comments and start blocking people and stuff. You are going to probably have a different way to approach this. That's the thing with Linux being open source, is the fact that there is a bajillion different ways that you can do it. And yes, what is the old saying?
What have I been saying?
Running Arch, because they'll tell you. Do you know how many of you told me you're running Arch in the comments of the video where we were running Bazite? Anyway, that's what we're doing today. We're running Bazite. It's a very easy install process. You're up and running very fast. It was.
I want to make a movement that anyone that, speaks harshly about Linux users, we need to remind them those are the Arch users.
This is the system I built for that. So what I actually wanted to say before I started to say I don't want to get aggressive in the comments, if you have what you think is a better approach for this, please respectfully put it down in the comments, but include some information that's actually useful, not why did you go with Bazite and not yada yada, because guess what? That doesn't tell you anything. All that does is come off as a pedantic put down. So, if you're going to recommend a different distro of some sort, say, I recommend this distro because, and it has a user rating in terms of difficulty 1 to 10 of put a number. Now, keep in mind, if you're approaching people that are beginners, what might seem like a 5 difficulty to you might be a 10 to someone that's new. So try to put.
That's a very good point, so I'm pausing right now for a second because I don't want to talk too much over him. That's the reason why I recommend Pop! OS to a lot of people. It's very easy to a lot of beginner users, and if you're an advanced user, it's very capable just as much too. Plus, the NVIDIA drivers are pre-installed into Pop! OS, which is why I like it, and System76 will do some QA before they push the drivers in their repo, which is generally why I like Pop! OS. And the fact that I used to come from the Mac land of things, and actually like the Mac UI a little bit, even though there were some questionable things they do with it, which is why I like Pop! OS and their take on GNOME. But
back in perspective of being new, I know it's hard for a lot of you Linux folks, but bear with me. We're going to try this here today. So here's the system that I built. It is running a 14700K and a Z790 ITX board from ASRock. ASRock Phantom.
I haven't done a liquid cooling system in like 15 years.
Board that I have. 32 gigabytes of DDR5 running 6400.
Not against them. I just like my stuff to,
it does have a 200
reliably work.
AIO that is cooling.
So I can blow it out. But that's got an AIO.
Or MPH240. We used to joke around it's the miles per hour. It's got an 850 watt SFX power supply because we are also, for the GPU, running a...
In all honesty, I probably would have gone with an AMD.
AMD card. And the reason for that is Linux support for AMD graphics cards tends to be better than NVIDIA, although NVIDIA does seem to be improving in terms of the graphics support, at least on Bazite, because...
So, pausing again. NVIDIA's been working fine for Pop! OS. I've had this machine for three years or so. My 3070 is just fine.
Phil actually went home.
Now, admittedly, AMD has the drivers built into the Linux kernel, so you don't have to install the proprietary package.
Playing Cyberpunk and other games and kind of doing some performance comparisons and stuff, and said everything appeared to be working. DLSS was working, ray tracing was working. Like, it was a pretty seamless.
And NVIDIA has the open source drivers now.
Which is an RTX 4080 with
What's up, Angelic Flambe?
And that was another flawless experience for him. In fact, if you're just in there playing the game and you hand the controls to someone and they're playing, they would never know they're playing on Linux. That's how seamless it is. Now, obviously, there's going to be limitations to what you can do with Linux. Now, in terms of desktop...
To be honest, and I'm pausing a second because I don't want to, miss what he's about to talk about, but Linux, the honest truth is, with any operating system, you shouldn't really know what operating system you're using. No one uses an operating system. Let me make that very clear. Nobody uses Mac, uses Windows, uses Linux. People use applications on these. An operating system should just be there to serve up your applications and then get the hell out of your way. The thing I don't like about Windows is it's constantly in my frickin' way. And I think a lot of people are experiencing that frustration too.
Software support, you got to look into individual software you want to run to see if it has Linux installs and the level of support that's going to be supported for the OS. But like, for instance, OBS does have, if you want to do live streaming, does have a Linux install.
OBS was basically made for Linux. It's the Open Broadcaster Studio.
This, like, for instance, my Insta360 Link 2 camera that's got the gimbal and all that does have a driver and stuff that works, but it's unknown yet, because I haven't tried it, whether or not I'll get the software to run, which gives me the gimbal control. So
that won't work. When I tried it, my OBS bot 2 doesn't work. The Instalink 360 I got upstairs didn't really work for the controls there outside of the hand.
But anyway, I digress. It basically...
Maybe somebody's figured out something, so they tinkered with it.
Which allows me to drag and drop like sound effects and pad samples and all that sort of stuff. However, everything else, it'll work as like a giant DAC at that point. And that's okay for Linux if I don't care about the sound pads and stuff and programming them.
Wait, what did you talk about?
To run, which gives me the gimbal control. My Rodecaster 2, which we use in our podcast room. Yes, I know we haven't podcasted in forever. Hopefully this Friday. But anyway, I digress. Basically, the software itself won't run in Linux, which allows me to drag and drop like sound effects and pad samples and all that sort of stuff. However, everything else, it'll work as like a giant DAC at that point. And that's okay for Linux.
So I'm actually using the Rodecaster Pro 2 for my stuff, and it works plenty fine. I haven't dragged and dropped samples over it. I do use the Windows side for that reason. There are some limitations, but they're starting to get better, but you can load up an SD card and then I think pull things off of it. I haven't tried that, but also for a lot of sound effects, what I've done is I've run the audio over the Linux box, be caught into the mixer, record off the mixer, and then program that to a pad. It's a little bit more convoluted potentially, but it is workable.
I don't care about the sound.
That's how you get fun things like this.
Circumcision confirmed.
Pads and stuff and programming them, because everything we would need that to do is actually controlled on...
I'll start learning Linux best source, install it, and start using it.
And all of the compressors.
The best way to, like learn any language or, tech thing, really, it's the same way. Immerse yourself in it. Force yourself to use it. That's how I got really deep into it many, many years ago. I just decided, this was back in the Ubuntu 8.04 days, like 2008 or so. I'm going to make everything run on Linux. I'm just going to stick with it. And here I am, decade and a half later.
All that stuff is built in.
Pretty comfortable.
Software to run. However, what we do use the software for is when we record the audio and offload that into the software, which then transcodes it into an MP3 for us that we upload to Buzzsprout to then syndicate it to all of the podcasting services. That is built into the software. So we would have to figure out a workaround for that. It's not impossible. It's just these are the.
I haven't really dealt with that side of things of Rodecaster, so.
Like Linux or any of the million distros that are out there versus all the native Windows support. So kind of in a nutshell for gaming, pretty good support, content creation. We'll give it a middle thumb depending on what you're trying to do. Like Adobe and all that really isn't going to work on Linux. However, DaVinci Resolve theoretically does. So we haven't.
DaVinci Resolve does work on Linux, but the reality is I use Kdenlive for all of my editing. It's completely open source. Originally, I built my machine thinking I was going to be using DaVinci Live. But as you can see, like my most recent, video right here, I did this all in Kdenlive. I haven't paid for this software. It's free, Libre, and open source. It is available on Mac, Windows, and Linux if you want to go use it yourself, actually. It's plenty fine for my needs. I haven't really felt the need to move over to DaVinci. And the issue with DaVinci, by the way, on Linux is you do need need an NVIDIA card. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. So his machine that he built with an AMD GPU will not work with DaVinci. Mine will, which is why I always got an NVIDIA GPU for the planning of eventually moving over to that. But then Kdenlive worked with the AMD GPU on the internal GPU of my laptop. And I actually, when I'm on the go with the laptop, will render my videos using the integrated GPU in H.264, but then I had some issues with the H.265 side with NVIDIA. But yeah, you can, do that.
But that's what we're reading. And then
Kdenlive is perfectly fine for the average person. There's a person that I actually saw a video for. I'm gonna see if I can dig it up later and put it in the Discord. That she was actually talking about how she uses Kdenlive, Inkscape, and all this other stuff as a YouTuber. And I think there's a lot of open source tools that are very capable out there. GIMP, GNU Image Manipulation Processor, is actually becoming a very capable compared to Adobe.
There's
Photoshop.
Open RGB and a lot of third-party support to actually be able to control like your RGB software and stuff. Or like Phil, for instance, has like the Razer Synapse stuff and other Razer devices and RGB devices that.
Boo! Razer, boo!
Called Open Razer that works in Linux. So
I'm sorry, they're just overpriced. They're just overpriced garbage from every time I tried them.
Today, so we're gonna set this up over here.
There's way better stuff, in my opinion.
Me through it because I've never done it, and by him walking me through it, he's gonna be walking you through it.
We haven't done this in a bit. Okay, so first thing you got to do.
Oh yeah, GIMP got a major update. They're on GIMP 3.0.
I assume that you already have at least one working computer.
Or laptop.
Yeah, or something.
Or friend's computer. So what does immutable mean?
The OS is on its own separate partition that's read-only.
So they're talking about making a live image that's bootable. Pretty straightforward.
Bootable just means it's a lot more idiot-proof than your standard like Linux distribution, where
because Linux is full power, like most like Arch and all that, you can go in there and really mess things up.
That's Arch's whole philosophy is that
it's a build your own OS.
Yeah, exactly. Build your own piecemeal. Like,
Razer Viper is one of the top-rated mice. I don't know. I still like my Logitech G903 with the power play mat.
Make it immutable so that it's a lot more difficult for the user to kind of mess up the OS. And then let's add all of the gaming-specific packages that things like SteamOS and.
Okay, I understand what he's trying to do, but let me simplify this for you all. An immutable operating system or distribution is basically that it has a set config that will never change. You can modify it, but you have to modify the static files in there. So I've touched on this with Cubes OS, where certain virtual machines that I'm running are immutable. The beauty of an immutable operating system is that if you have any issue, restart it, back to good config. It's a lot more simpler than, they're explaining. Now, of course, there is nuance and complexity that comes to an immutable operating system and how you have to manage that. So that's a whole other story.
have done.
Now, I want to step in real quick. A lot of people had negative things to say about it being an immutable because they're probably Linux power users, which is why you wouldn't want
Can I use an old Dell PC for a storage server? Yeah.
that maybe just built their first
You're just
system.
talking about file storage. You don't need that much power.
Get up in gaming with AAA titles like this for free.
Yep.
Now, there's free ways to get Windows, but this is obviously an anti-Windows type of video here. So it says right here, own games outside of Steam, Lutris, which is pre-installed, and other launchers can only run games from most game stores, but cleanly integrate them into Steam gaming mode, which includes EA app, Epic Games,
See?
GOG,
I use Lutris.
itch.io, Rockstar, Ubisoft, your dad's old CDs, and more. So basically, it's like a one-stop gaming launcher OS type service, but you obviously have other things built into it, like you have your browser and a desktop, and you can
Yeah.
stream from it and all that.
When we download
Immutable OS was a thing on a consumer-based platform.
option for, if you click the
It's relatively new.
what we're using.
Oh wait, where
It's a newer concept bleeding into the mainstream.
desktop, handhelds,
But we use them in the corporate world quite often.
and VMs, obviously. All right, so desktop. What is the vendor of your primary GPU? So we're going to say AMD RX 4000 Plus. Oh, it even supports ARC. That's cool. ARC and NVIDIA. And then what desktop environment do you prefer? Steam OS or what's GNOME?
GNOME is Fedora's default.
This is GNOME. This is GNOME. And it's not GNOME, it's GNOME. I'm not trying to be picky here, but that is literally the pronunciation the project has given it. It's not GNOME, it's GNOME. Because it's part of the whole GNU. You know, GNU's not Unix philosophy, which we can go down that rabbit hole someday. You know, one of these days for a movie night, we should watch Revolution OS. It's a good documentary if you haven't been aware of that. That talks about how Linux came to be, the free software movement and everything. It's free out there. It's an hour-and-a-half documentary. You can find it on YouTube and a bunch of other places.
Desktop environment. So the desktop environment is basically the user interface.
So people ask me, by the way, because I know people are going to ask,
So what do we have?
why don't I use KDE?
Up here, just because
I just haven't gotten KDE to look the way I want it, and I want the Mac-ish user interface and stuff.
as like a home theater PC. Or,
I like Pop OS, the way it does it out of the box.
Steam gaming mode is enabled.
So what you're referring to is, do you want Steam gaming?
What's up, Sank Logic? How's it going?
To log into game mode and only supports a single user.
yeah, which
So is that like
we-
big picture?
Yeah, it is exactly big picture. It's actually, in fact, exactly how SteamOS handles.
So I'm
it,
going to say no because we still want this to be a full.
a desktop kind of computer in OS. Yeah. So then you're just gonna download the ISO for Windows. I usually like.
There's a command to rebase it. Yeah, Rufus, pretty straightforward to install images with Windows. You can also do Ventoy. I've talked about Ventoy many times.
Basically, all those drivers all support.
Ventoy is actually pretty nice if you want to have multiple distributions and ISOs on one flash drive instead of using one at a time like Rufus.
Like the stigma has always been NVIDIA support in Linux is terrible, but at least for Bazite and your 4080 and the games that you tried it on, it was pretty seamless.
Yeah.
From a Windows experience.
I've heard anywhere from like a minus 15% to like 25% performance hit. Although I didn't really see that in the games I tested, which was like Cyberpunk and Control and a few other titles and stuff. But I haven't really
Yeah, you were seeing a
extensively-
couple of FPS difference.
Yeah. In fact, it's weird because even in Forza Horizon, I actually saw a game in average
The
FPS.
stigma's changing finally.
Yeah. So I mean, it kind of just your mileage may vary depending on what game you're playing and like.
I linked the
NVIDIA.
documentary I mentioned.
AMD is concerned, I've always heard that it's basically either a negligible performance difference or it's faster under Linux. Okay, cool. So our ISO is downloaded, so you're gonna go ahead and open Rufus.
Eh.
Okay, so Rufus is open. Do we need a format?
So I use an AMD CPU and NVIDIA GPU because I need CUDA.
Okay, disk
Ventoy does have its problems at times, I will be honest. Yes, you are right, 1012.
file, Bazite,
As
the ISO.
AMD, and then just go ahead and hit start.
You're welcome, Kara.
Back once the USB stick is burnt, and then burnt. Jeez,
Flashed!
my age now.
It might burn it.
Once the USB stick is written, we'll be back, and then we will show you how to install it on the computer.
So now take it to the system that we're going to install back.
So pretty much installing it is the same way as installing Windows or Mac or, well, Mac's a little bit different. We're not going down that route.
Priorities to go to this because this drive actually has a Windows OS on it. So we need that nuked, and then obviously we are going to reinstall.
You can dual boot, but the honest truth is I advise against that because Windows, the bootloader messes things up, but there is a way to hook it in by installing and the Windows bootloader controls it and then won't mess it up, but yeah.
OS is going to probably look different, or not your OS, but your BIOS. It's going to look different. So you're going to have to kind of, if you don't know your BIOS very well, you're going to have to look that up and figure out what works best.
But if you're building a,
Just have a cat walk across your keyboard. It'll figure it out eventually.
no matter what, yeah.
So let's see, install Bazite.
Yep.
Or test the media and install. Should we?
No, I don't do it.
You don't need to do that, but testing the media is good to do if you don't trust the flash drive.
No, it's for
I have found bad flash drives that install wonky things. Well, it gets installed wonky because there's corruption and stuff.
Fedora 41 now.
But it's a rarity.
It's gonna look very hacker screeny. It's so going for the garbage file looking.
So fun tip, if you ever boot your,
Installation, no disk selected.
we watched that by the way a few months ago.
Time zone.
If you ever boot your Linux box, most of them, if you press escape while it boots, you can actually see the launch in a CLI kind of format,
Storage configuration,
like they were showing.
And then I would check that box that says free up space by removing or shrinking existing partitions because we want to nuke whatever else is on there.
Okay, so click free up space by removing and shrinking existing partitions. And
I usually do custom.
we want to preserve any of these partitions. Like
So he didn't encrypt his disk. I would have done that and done it with Lux, so there's a password when you boot up. You can actually have the password tie in from Lux to your user.
probably no point.
But yeah, I encrypt my disks always.
Default Bazite with the password of Bazite. And that's pretty much it as far as...
They probably just skipped that step because they're just trying to get it together.
Try our new stuff.
Isn't that a bit refreshing?
Microsoft is no longer in the business of making OSs. The OS is nothing but a data mining tool.
Yeah.
Hey, I've been saying that for years.
The data Microsoft sells and how much money they make on the data versus the sales of Windows. Bet you they make more money on the sale of the data, which means they should just make.
That's why I crack up when people say that they're trying to get one over on Microsoft and pirate it because Microsoft isn't going to make money off of them, not realizing the reason why Microsoft doesn't care that you're pirating your little home user version of it is because the data that they're collecting off of your use of a pirated version of Windows is way more valuable. And then people are cracking their Windows so that they can get rid of the watermark when you can just run that just fine, and then possibly introducing malware because that's the vector a lot of them coming through.
So you're paying to be spied on.
Now it's done. So
Now it says
there's-
reboot system.
Click reboot.
Fair enough. There you go. Simplification.
I mean, it should automatically.
You're
change
paying to get spied on,
I think to this now, right?
even if you're not paying for it.
Perform mock management. What
That's
is
for,
mock?
So this is for secure boot stuff. You can just hit continue boot.
It's a little bitty wheel.
I haven't used the mock.
Update.
That's interesting.
What's a carg? I bet you're gonna tell us.
Cool. So it's one reboot and should be.
Wait, what was it saying?
Was it like a?
I haven't seen that little boot thing they did, but then again, I don't really use secure boot that much.
Bazite and Fedora Atomic desktops is that you always get
Uh,
the current version.
That is kind of interesting that the motherboard's doing the boot loop inside of it, because usually mine boots into the operating system doing the booting. I don't know. Maybe there's a different way it's hooking in, but
And then when it doesn't,
I haven't played with that
keep the
much
last
side of it too much.
So in case an update breaks, you can get in the bootloader and then.
All right, so password should be Bazite. Oh, I like that background. That's cool. Okay, system fatal error, probably because we need internet. It does look very Windowsy so far,
Yeah.
like enough to where you don't feel lost.
That's why I picked KDE because GNOME is more Mac-like.
Connect to the internet. So Firefox is pre-installed. So this is application launcher. Oh, this is very Windowsy looking.
That's kind of why
That's also why I don't like KDE out the box. You can customize KDE however you want.
I chose KDE over GNOME.
Well, let me put it this way, okay? Before, they get into their thing, and I'll see what they say. Back to his original point where he says that, the beauty of Linux is that you can customize it to be however you want. I don't think Windows users realize just how inefficient the user experience and workflow inside of Windows is, because you have to understand it's Windows 95 paradigms that have just gotten slapped with more crap on top of each other in each iteration. So eventually you have to reinvent the wheel. So that's why I actually like the approach that I do with different things. Don't get me wrong. Start out this way, but don't get fixated in staying in here and explore a little bit and then find your comfortable niche.
GNOME is a little bit more Mac-like. KDE is
One more
more
till
like,
Trace on Unger.
You know,
From Denmark and love listening and learning before sleep.
I
Nice.
would recommend
Thanks for being here, buddy. Happy hacking.
You can buy our merch. Our merch is Linux compatible.
Wow, you can't get away from the constant Steam updater even on Linux, huh?
Yep.
Oh, my pleasure, bud.
You
Appreciate that you're enjoying
I
this.
now know how to log into your Steam, so you're gonna do that. I like
If you don't know how to log into Steam, you don't know how to play the game.
to use the
The game is playing you.
Steam utility or the Steam app to log in, so I have to remember my password. So let's see, OBS. Steam
I don't know my own password. I just use a password manager.
Better support Linux. Oh yeah, and it does the.
Hey, Seeknay, did you get unbanned?
It gets all big.
Okay, for those of you that don't know, Seeknay got banned over on the Tiki-Takis because he decided to educate people on PowerShell. It was a raise, right? You were doing a raise. That's what you got banned for? Yeah. Don't you know you can't educate the masses? The talks don't like it. Oh, you won on appeal? Yeah. Did you do the appeal through the legal form thing? That's been more successful for me than doing it through the app.
Pack ref. I'm assuming that's File Explorer. So downloads.
Oh, cool. Nice. Okay.
Wow, that was easy.
I was worried that it was actually not going to be that complicated, or it was going to be more complicated.
So I never really download flat packs that way. So normally what I do is I do it straight in the GUI. Look, I'm old school this way, so I'm just going to show you. So like, I'm just going to do like a flat pack update. And then it grabs in, okay? You can see there's things here. I'm not going to go through with the update. But you can actually, that's Open Morrowind it's trying to install. So let me see if I can, here, I'll show you. Flathub.org. So this is the most popular Flatpak repository. So if you go to like any one of these packages, I'm just going to pull one up. And you click the install right here. Do you see how it says like Flatpak install flathub app.dre.warp? So you can easily, just if you want, drop that in. And then install as the user. And then see it's going to pull all that in. And then you click yes, and it'll pull it in. I like Flatpaks a lot better than appeal through the app. And then I got unbanned. I coincidentally made a LinkedIn post. It's funny how that works. But yeah, so I like using FlatHub and installing it through the web. That's just me. To each their own.
What I'm doing is I'm just trying to see, without you showing me, can I navigate to something?
Flatpak install package and hope Flatpak gets the correct rep.
And I've used Mac for years.
We call that plug and pray, my dude.
That's cool. So yeah, so a lot of Linux programs I would hope would just link you to the right place in the store.
So the Discover store is, Bazzite uses primarily a Flatpak style app install. So the Discover store is basically the repository for that. So.
Right.
Let me explain this a little bit better. So each operating system usually has their own shop. I'm opening up the pop shop here. I don't normally use the pop shop. I'm just giving you an example. Because I like command line. What's up, X1? How's it going, bud? As you can see, it's taking its sweet time. That's part of the reason why I don't like. I know Pop OS 2404 is going to be a lot smoother and everything with Cosmic DE because the Rust is going to improve it and everything. Okay, so let me see if I can. Okay, so you see right here, it has apt resources over here. So this can do straight up plain Debian packages. But the extra sources you can do are different things. So like you see I have like VS Code in here, which is installed through there. Proton VPN has their own repo. Steam has their own little app repo and stuff like that. But then you can have Flatpaks and everything like that. So all the App Store is really doing is pulling from all these different sources. Now, Pop OS does the same thing where they have a preference of installing things through a Flatpak. So let's just find something. I think this is, yep, see? You can pick it from FlatHub. It defaults to FlatHub. Now, the difference is, if you notice, it's Flatpak and system-wide Flatpak, because I had to do and install some packages through the system. But let's, like, for example, I'm just going to, find OBS, okay? Because I don't have OBS on this box. But you see, it's going to pull in from Flatpak over here, and it's doing the install right now. So all this is a package manager. So what they're talking about with, you know, the App Store and everything like that, it's package management. This is the one thing that actually really amazes and perplexes a lot of Windows users, because Linux has had package management since the 1990s. No, you did not mishear me. The 1990s. So the package management, the beauty about this is that, so when you're with Windows, think about it this way. All right, I got to get my new driver. All right, now I got to go to NVIDIA, download that. Oh, I got to get the, you know, keyboard driver. I got to go to the keyboard, you know, manufacturer, get the driver from there. I got to go, you know, get Adobe Photoshop. And then I'm going to go get Steam. And then every single application you can think of on your system, including system updates, your security and everything. So, you know, you're thinking about, okay, I'm in Windows. I have to go to Windows updates, do my Microsoft updates. I have to update Office possibly separately, depending on how it is. Then you have to, you know, think about that. That's a good, like, hour, 2 hours of all these updates and everything. So what a package manager does is it actually tracks all of that and allows you to install and manage everything in one singular place. That's one of the major advantages of Linux, and Windows only started doing package management with WinGet only a few years ago, and it's still far away from what Linux can do. And Linux has multiple package managers to do this. So you can do apt, as X1 just mentioned. So you can have apt, there's yum, there's DNF, there's zipper, there's pacman, there's portage, there's all these different ones, and they all have their nuances, strengths, weaknesses, things like that. Like portage will build it from sources. Apt usually does binaries, and you know, you can also build it from source code, things like that. Then you have flat packs and snap packages and things like that. We're not going to get too deep into that, but the base understanding is a Flatpak is a container for the entire thing. So the cool thing is all the dependencies are packaged into Flatpak. And the other thing, which I don't think they're going to get quite into, we'll see when we do this, there's another thing you can run. Now you can do this manually through command line, but sometimes, as we know, a GUI app may be a little bit easier for here and there. So you can use a thing called flat seal. So what this allows me to do is manage the permissions and access of my different Flatpaks and stuff like that. So for example, we'll open up Steam here. I needed to add into my Steam Flatpak. That's why you see two different Steam icons there. One is the apt installed one using a deb package. .deb is basically the exe equivalent inside of Debian, kind of. Well, it's more like an MSI, but you get the point. And from here, I was able to add in the additional disks that it could see. And then, of course, give it the different permissions and everything, because everything's containerized. So if you notice, I have Firefox in here. My Firefox here originally came prepackaged with a Debian version, you know, that was installed through the apt package manager when you install the system. And then it works just fine. But I like a Flatpak. Why? Because it's a container. It allows for additional isolation, so if there is a security issue, I at least have a little bit of sandboxing. Not as hard as a virtual machine, but a little bit more nice, comfy security. So, like, when overall, I like the Flatpak idea of things. Now, Ubuntu runs with snap packages. I'm not as much of a fan of snap packages for a myriad of reasons, but
Usually,
let's get back to this.
you're going to be searching for an app.
Oh, I use Chocolatey. Chocolatey works great. I use Chocolatey on the Windows PC.
You find out it's in Flatpak, then you.
Okay, so here's everything installed here. Clearly, you can see there's also.
I use the -y as well, X1.
Yeah, that's what stuff is all.
The stuff that's already installed that has updates that need to be done, so you can just auto-update it from here.
Okay, so he is talking about the package manager. They just, I don't think, realize they're talking about the package management.
So far this looks very Windows-like. Now, big picture, obviously. So if we were to set this to big picture mode, whoops, which is what, right here? Now, where is it? Right here.
Yep.
So if you would select that setting that said single user, big picture, or Steam OS mode, this is what would boot. Like, it would go through all the Bazite stuff and then here.
Yep.
Like, this is your OS at that point. Well, I don't care for big picture personally, but I just wanted to show people what that looked like.
It looks like big picture mode.
The games that are compatible with Linux. Because right now, this is going to show me my whole library and stuff. But obviously, not all of these games are going to work with Linux.
I don't know why he blurred all that. Okay, oh, there we go.
If it's a Windows game, it'll run through a compatibility layer called Proton, which is what Valve has developed for SteamOS and the Steam Deck to basically get...
I'm glad they're calling it a compatibility layer and not an emulation thing, because it's not emulation.
Linux native version. All of them will attempt to run via
Proton uses as part of it something called Wine, and Wine stands for Wine is not an emulator.
But
Let's see what happens if I try and run this like super indie game.
yeah, sure.
I'm just curious. Now, while that's
Indie games tend to work better with Linux. I've rarely had issues. It's usually the games that have kernel level anti-cheat in the shady, sketchy ways.
Click the collection,
Like Mecha Break.
create
I couldn't play that game.
and then create dynamic collection. And then if you go to the Steam Deck,
Meta, bust rate Frank again.
What is the best Linux distribution for everyday use? I'm in cybersecurity using Windows and Mac. I only use Kali and Ubuntu. The best Linux distribution is the one that suits your workflow. I like Pop OS. You may not like Pop OS. Maybe you'll like Parrot OS. To each their own. Play around. The fallacy, and I've talked about this in another YouTube video, that a lot of people have, is believing that what is the best Linux? There is no the best Linux. There is what is the best Linux for me. What's good for me may not be great for you. I like Pop OS. A lot of people like Pop OS. Maybe you don't like to touch grass and want to install Arch. Oh yeah, let me turn the...
you can do verified only.
What's your browser choice? I usually use Firefox. I do use Chromium to run the chat, because I have a merged chat here for all the platforms I'm streaming to.
this is a very indie game.
Chances are it should just work as if it was Windows.
Brave is okay.
It literally just worked. A completely untested
Most games will just work.
It's working just fine.
A lot different from your last Linux experience, I'm guessing.
Oh my god.
So as you can see, if you stick to
Also, Arch definitely not a no-touch grass distro, in my opinion. More of a Gen 2 thing.
So if you're wondering what we're talking
Either
about,
way,
we're talking about a compatibility.
it's no-touch grass adjacent.
So obviously, a Windows game is going to expect Windows things like DirectX and.
Is it emulating the environment?
It's not an
No!
It's a translation. So what it does is basically.
Thank you!
Like DirectX to Vulkan, which is the Linux.
People need to get out of this vernacular, this vocabulary of using emulation. Emulation is, I have a Game Boy. That is completely different hardware. We have to emulate the processor, the hardware, all of that to make it run. All we're doing is translating API, DLLs, executables, and such calls into a Linux-compatible way. So in the way that, I don't know if they're going to go into it, but in Linux, we're basically taking those DirectX, and preferably, if you can, run your games on Linux in Vulkan, and then it will translate it into Vulkan. So, yeah, Vulkan and OpenGL natively run in Linux. Those will get you the best performance when gaming on Linux. An explosion of built-for-gaming distros unrelated to Pop OS. Oh, yeah.
The point I want to
But the reality is there's nothing really special about any of the distributions that say that they're built for gaming. There's really not. At the end of the day, if you pop the hood on almost any one of these distributions, they're more or less running the exact same packages of software, it's just configured in different ways. So like I said, there's no best Linux. There's what's best for me and what I want my workflow to be.
the whole it's not emulation is that's why the performance hit is so tiny and or sometimes even a performance gain.
Here's a true test. This game, the movies, is like 20 years old, maybe? In fact, it's not even on the Steam store anymore. It's just because I have it. So let's see if this will run. Okay. Well, I don't know. Maybe
It might be too old.
this one may not.
I don't know. Actually, I find older games work a little bit better on Linux.
So how do we now force exit of a program?
Alt-Tab.
Oh yeah, okay, so Alt F4 is still the same. Okay, cool.
Alt-Tab, Alt-F4.
Doesn't work. Okay, well, Locked Up is an indie game.
Beginners will think they need that distro break and turn people away. Oh, absolutely.
Go to here, right? Linux stuffs, and then we can go to Steam Deck and verified and playable. Right, that'd probably be our best compatibility there, even though we've got the yellow. So now this will show us all the games that are like verified and playable for Steam Deck, which will translate over to Bazite. All right, here we go. So the last one we just did was an unknown game locked up. It's just last played today. Oh, there it goes. And that was an unknown. So just because it's not on the verified list doesn't mean it won't work. It just means obviously there's too many titles for them to have gone through and tested all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays just fine. Look at that.
You can go to ProtonDB and ProtonDB.com and look up your games and see if they actually have people that have reviewed that game for running. Just because Valve hasn't officially given it a rating doesn't mean that it doesn't play.
It's just called Heroic.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So
Yep.
download from FlatHub.
I use Heroic for
Launchers into this.
Rocket League
Okay, so I have to log into each one.
and Bioshock.
You want to download from. So right now, let's try Rocket League, which will be on the Epic Game Store. So
Go to library. Hey, there's Rocket League.
Cool.
So
So you just click that?
download.
I gotta reinstall my Rocket League apparently.
Oh, okay, wait. Alt F4. We fixed it.
Yep.
Okay, so obviously with how Steam works, it's very familiar layout enough to where you don't feel lost if you're trying to move from Windows to this. Obviously with Heroic, we could do
Mint is
our
always what I recommend at beginners, even though I run Arch, by the way.
if you're playing EA
Of course you
games
do.
and such.
I recommend Pop OS to a lot of people.
Online gaming,
Mint,
that's where it's not all unicorns and rainbows.
there was something that pissed me off about Mint a few years ago.
basically, all of the big.
I think I shied away from it when they
are not are just
had malware on their ISOs. They got compromised and they were spreading malware. Not their fault, you know, cyber incidents happen, but I think ever since then I kind of just
They have offline
didn't use them.
and stuff.
It's been many years though.
Battle Royales and online only.
if it
And I just like Pop OS a lot better. I like what System 76 is doing, and I think Cosmic DE is going to be great.
to Linux,
Because what about like Easy Anti-Cheat?
Yeah.
Or EAC?
EAC is pretty much the big one, so
That does or does not work?
does not work. So
Easy Anti-Cheat does work on Linux if developers enable it. What is it? I think Halo Master Chief Collection, they actually, it does work. It's a developer issue. A lot of these anti-cheat problems are down to developers doing things.
Fortnite, GTA, League, Roblox, Rust, Rainbow Six, Valorant. Again, all the big AAA titles that are going to be multiplayer are.
So even though we just launched Rocket League, we wouldn't be able to play a match.
You could play a match on Rocket League.
It really works fine on Linux.
You just listed Rocket League though.
No, I said Rainbow Six
Oh, they said Rocket.
and Roblox and Rust. Yeah. So older games.
And you can play Grand Theft Auto 5. I played it a few years ago.
Fine, but yeah.
Just fine. Unless they change something radically.
And you were saying
Pop OS good for a beginner? Yeah, Pop OS is fine.
it's just they don't want
Log into ProtonDB with your Steam account, you can see how your games are rated.
to
Yep.
keep it updated for Linux.
That's the most frustrating thing is because Easy Anti-Cheat has Linux like binaries for their.
I will never install kernel level anti-cheat, not on Linux, not on Windows. Well, any game that has kernel level anti-cheat in Linux is actually running in user space. You'll know if it runs in kernel level because it will ask for your password.
Gaming and stuff, or non-competitive online games that require the anti-cheat software. So just to kind of recap though, so it was, go to Bazite, download the ISO, you downloaded Rufus, you created the ISO, we put it in over here, did a fresh install, all the drivers and stuff. You notice we didn't load a single driver. Everything worked on its own. The wireless, the keyboard, the mouse, the graphics card, everything, because you select all that when you're creating your installer. Once we're up and running, the only things we installed separately was the Heroic Games Launcher, and that was it.
More or less, it's going to be the same experience when you have Pop OS, just installing all the stuff manually.
For a first, I would consider myself first time. I haven't used Linux.
Is Bazite the one made by Gloria Segrel? I'm not sure.
Again, that was Ubuntu.
But I do use Proton GE for my stuff.
Play games. So I think if you're someone that's like, I want to mess around in Linux, I want to get my feet kind of like dip my toes in, but I don't want to be overwhelmed, I feel like Bazite is a really good way to start. Now, to keep this video very authentic, the Bazite team did reach out to me after we showed the video wall, but I did not respond to them other than to say, hey guys, thanks for welcoming me to the community.
Oh, it's a Fedora port? Okay, that makes sense.
Reach out to us.
Fedora project. Oh, okay.
But
I haven't looked too much into Bazite. It's one of those, like, look, there's so many distributions. It's kind of like,
so
pick an axe head and stick with it.
And who knows? That could be some weird like.
They're all Linux.
out of date.
the BIOS is very out of date on this system. But yeah, and then as you can see, we were up and running as long as you know your logins to your stuff. So it was actually very simple. Now,
It does look interesting. I'm just not interested in completely redoing my entire workflow and rebuilding my machine.
such a locked down.
You can throw it on a virtual machine.
Linux can be.
I've got all my stuff configured.
Or as complex as you want to make it. That's what is.
Although I could reinstall everything I need in about an hour and a half or two because all the important stuff is on my NAS.
How you build your own OS based on the things you want to, plug and play in there.
Yeah, it's never the issue of the software. It's never the issue of the operating system switching. It's getting all the applications moved over, getting your config set back up, setting up the dark modes, the config. Yeah, I totally understand. Thank you for the follow, Drunken Fist Sifu.
There's no nagging. There's no like blah blah blah. Like
Threatened to shut down the project when Fedora had a proposal to drop 32-bit support.
I'd love to know what the.
I know.
Yeah, I heard Fedora wanted to drop 32-bit support, which is a little bit out of touch because you're gonna need 32.
Scroll down.
Let's pause for a sec. So the 32-bit support thing is interesting because you can run IA32 libs and all that, decently well. The issue is that Steam itself is still a 32-bit package, from my understanding. That's the issue.
Where's updates? Update software is by.
How's NVIDIA's support with Linux nowadays? I've been using this NVIDIA 3070 for a few years on Pop! OS with no issues. I have a 4070 on my laptop.
Update the way they steal your data.
Update the spyware. Yeah.
Never like Fedora. I have friends that love it, but I always hated it. DNF is so slow. I like Fedora because it's a Red Hat Enterprise Linuxy type thing, a RHEL type, but I grew up with Debian, so I like the Debian way of things. That's just what I'm comfortable with.
For somebody that wants to start playing around. So like I said, please list down below, if you're going to comment, keep it constructive and keep it useful. Say what distro you recommend, why, and its average user difficulty rating would be. And when I say average user, I don't mean average Linux user, but like average just Windows user, because you got to assume they're coming from an environment where this is all new. I like the fact that it's immutable though, because I can't go in there and break it. Like you can go into Windows registry.
Oh, you can still go in and break it, trust me.
Time to get on out of here. I hope you guys have enjoyed our first touch into Linux. I'm debating potentially throwing another drive in my system I just built and having it be just a Linux drive to screw around with at home.
Steam is based on GTK2. I wish they would move away from that.
So,
yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Like I said.
So I'm just going to leave my little comment here. For my work and gaming needs. And the QA they do into the NVIDIA drivers, amongst other things. You should do more Linux videos. Well, here's the thing. Let me preface this with, I am by no means hating on Jay. I like him. I've been, I followed him for quite a few years. He's probably one of the few non-professional tech creators I actually like and respect. Because he will straight up say, I don't know this. I know what I know, but I don't know this. And he's not really a professional tech guy. I don't know how deep he'll get into the Linux side of things, because he's like, I need this to do the thing that I need it to do. I don't know how deep I'm going to get into it. He's more of a hands-on hardware kind of guy. Not saying that he won't like tinker with things like that. So I don't know. I wouldn't say that I would expect much in the way of Linux videos from him. It'd be nice to see him talk more about, doing Linux and seeing him open up to using it, encouraging people to try it, because the Microsoft monopoly needs to, go away. It needs to go the way of the dodo. We need to have more choice. We need to have more freedoms, privacy, security around a lot of our things. And yeah, that's my personal take on it. I like I said, I would like to see him, of course, make more Linux videos. I just don't know if I would expect him to make like Linux videos, but more like, hey, I'm a, I started using Linux and this is what I'm, feeling with it. These are the pros and cons I've had of it. And, just kind of encouraging the average person. I would like his takes in that way for the average person to be like, yeah, Linux isn't so scary, all that. Because the problem is, and I see this all too often, a lot of people don't know what Linux is, and they dive into using Arch or some other convoluted thing right from the get-go, and then they get scared off. Ease them into it. Linux is actually a lot easier to understand than Windows. I know some people are going to catch me on that right now, but what I mean by that is pretend you know nothing about computers. I want you to think about what it takes to administrate a Windows system. I'm not even talking about it at an enterprise level. I'm talking about it as an everyday user, day-to-day kind of thing you got to do. All the hoops you got to jump through. Oh, you want to do a little tweak? There's a little registry editor. Hop in the setting over here. Modify this, do that, blah, blah, blah. In Linux, you can do most of the stuff with a text editor. No joke. You just got to do a little bit of know-how, talk around to things, maybe, talk to ChatGPT a little bit. You can figure your way around things. Most people are so afraid of touching the terminal, very daunting to type out commands. And see, here's the thing that, blows my mind. My generation and older, I'm a millennial. We needed to type on the terminal to do a lot of things. We had to type on a terminal to open Windows. You had to boot DOS and then boot Windows. And the command line is actually a lot easier than the GUI once you start mind mapping how your system's laid out. Grew up with MS-DOS. Terminal don't scare me. But when you want to do something, Linux is so much... Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Got you. So you're a ChatGPT over Claude guy. Well, why are you making the assumption? I just say use whatever, but let's be honest. If I go, use Claude, you're probably going to think about going down to a bar, find a French guy named Claude, and give him and ask him about something. Whereas people are going to know right out the gate, ChatGPT is ChatGPT. Here's the thing. The average person, and I have seen this firsthand, the average person has a better understanding of what I mean by LLM when I say ChatGPT than Claude. Because ChatGPT is the Kleenex of LLMs. What I mean by that is not everyone's using a Kleenex. You're maybe using a facial tissue because it's not made by Kleenex. You see what I'm saying? In the same way that ChatGPT is the LLM everyone, kind of just knows and uses. Even most people don't even know what Perplexity is, or Grok, or DeepSeek is probably the second most known AI that I've come across talking to the average person after ChatGPT. Even Gemini, Google Gemini, isn't as well known. Yeah, large language model for those who don't know. Yeah. Large language models. And let me make this very clear. Large language models are not AI. AI is marketing BS. Because a few years ago, it wasn't called AI. It was called what? ML. AKA machine learning. So let's make that very clear. I hate the fact that I have to call it AI because I die a little inside every time I hear, oh yeah, ChatGPT is an AI. No, it's not. It's not past the freaking Turing test. But I digress. All right, let's change gears for a second. Someone actually knows. So I haven't played this game in quite a while, and I felt like jumping in to see what it's been like, the famed Linode shirt. Look, I got this shirt at a Linux Fest years ago, and it's comfy. You know what's funny is I've had this game installed on my machine for years. But the last time I played Warframe, April 30th of 2023. Let's roll it with Proton GE 10.8. That should have some optimizations. You should check out Dismantled sometime. What is that, a game? If it's a game, I got too many games I gotta play as it is. Did I do CompTIA? That's a personal call. When you say, should I do CompTIA, what specifically are you referring to? Like which cert? God damn it, I forgot that I have to download all the freaking updates. What kind of game is Dismantled? But I also am curious, Chubber, when you're saying like CompTIA, you talking A+, Security+, you talking like their Security X or something like that? That annoys me though with Steam. Why doesn't it not download the game updates in the background? I need a job and see all these jobs needing a Security A+ and Security. I mean... Okay. This is coming, let me preface this with, this is coming from a dude that only has one cert in my entire 10-year career. I only got that this past October, and it's the CISSP. It can help you get past HR, but experience is always going to, trump anything. And I don't have a degree in this. I don't have any other fancy certs. I just got 10 years of experience, lots of home labbing, tinkering, and quite a bit of content on Linux and all that kind of stuff over the years. Is that how you pronounce CompTIA? I thought it was pronounced CompTIA. Chia. CompTIA. But yeah, there's plenty of jobs out there. The honest truth is, you can get plenty of jobs out there, but a lot of them are going to say like Security Plus, A+. That's because they're kind of just looking at the bottom of the bar. You have to remember that the people that setting up these requirements are HR people that don't know tech. They're looking up like, oh, they want this, they want that, they want this, they want that. I got no degree, but been in IT my entire life. I feel it. Why is it so hard for me to find a job? I'm using Indeed. Well, there's your problem. So I have a video that actually is on YouTube that you may actually want to review. It's called The Truth About Certs, Why Your Resume is Getting Ignored, something like that. I made it like a couple of months ago. Are you going to any in-person networking events? Not job fairs per se. I mean, those are okay too. But are you putting yourself out there in person? Because most of the jobs I've gotten because I've met people at events that happen to know somebody working at a job. None but my school offers them. Ding, 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 ding. We have a winner. The one thing that I run into very often when people are like, it's so hard to find a job. I'm applying to so many online. Cool. Are you going to any networking events? Have you gone to like your local DEF CONs, your local OWASPs, coders and coffees and, whatever things. Go to Eventbrite, go to meetup.com, go to infosecmap.com. I've talked about a lot of these things in that video I talked about. Go out, meet people. The reality is it's not what you know, as much as it may hurt people to understand this, but it's who you know. I've met at least a dozen people at VMware events. One of them gave me a job. Yeah! I've been to Datadog events, Zscaler events, CrowdStrike events, all these different things. And I meet different people, get different opportunities. I've helped people that these jobs be like, yeah, there's an opening where I work at, you want to apply and everything. So that's my honest 2 cents when it comes to a lot of, you know, looking for a job and everything like that. Put yourself out there, meet people in person. Don't limit yourself to only applying online, because here's the problem. There's thousands of people out there making the same mistake. And now look, put yourself in the shoes of the HR person that has to review all these resumes. You have thousands of people. They have no face to put to the name, no understanding of who this person actually is other than from this piece of paper. And they get to, you know, score you based on an arbitrary set of things on individual resumes. It's easier to discount and exclude the people that are just pieces of paper than the people that you meet in person. How do you get people to use Matrix? Well, you offer them a red pill or a blue pill. I'm kidding. I have a Matrix server. Y'all are welcome to join it. But to get them to use Matrix, it's a little bit of, you know, sometimes pulling hairs, but it's just kind of slowly nudging them in the direction, similar to what I do with Linux. Like, hey, do you like what Discord's doing? What do you think about if Discord ever goes belly up? And Discord disappears or goes completely, you know, super venture capital and greedy. What are you going to do with your community and all that? Wouldn't it be nice for you to run your own server? And when I say run your own server, I don't mean this bastardized way that Discord has where you're really just essentially in a channel of rooms in their own infrastructure that you have no control over really beyond the limited tools that they give you. Well, with Matrix, you literally can spin the server up on your box and have people join it from their servers, and it's decentralized. It's one of those you just slowly red pill them. And not in the toxic manosphere kind of way. I'm talking the original Keanu Reeves Matrix red pill, blue pill moment. I really hate the fact that whenever I say I'm trying to red pill someone, they have this like, what? With that's kind of toxic. I'm like, no! I'm trying to have them wake up to just how, you know, the world is messing them up. And not in these weird tinfoily hat kind of ways. Yes, be active on Linux, LinkedIn, own your own domain name with a simple site for your resume, etc. Oh yeah, I go through a lot of that through my, you know, video talking about, you know, truth about certs and everything. You'd be surprised just how little, how much a simple thing like having your own email with a custom domain on your resume pops out to people. Like that little touch did wonders. Just like adding my GitHub profile for the few Python projects I have. That did wonders comparing me to others to stand out. I bought my domain for email. Yep. And you don't have to run your own custom email server. Friends don't let friends run their own email servers. Just hook it to Microsoft 365. And then use that as part of your lab, because then you can use Microsoft 365. And if you want to do identity and access management as part of it, then you can just tie that into an IDP like Okta or Jump Cloud or Duo. Or you can even just use Microsoft 365 Entra as the IDP and then hook that into your Spacelift, your Snyk.io, your Matrix IDP, you know, Matrix Synapse server, I mean, or, you know, anything else you want to do. Bought a year of Tutanota. Tutanota is great. I use Proton. Tutanota is, and by the way, if you want to use Tutanota, I am affiliated with both Tutanota and Proton. I heavily support both of them. I just think Proton is just slightly better because they have the password manager and a whole bunch of other, you know, features in there, like aliasing your email and things like that. But Tutanota, great solution as well. Yeah, Proton Mail. It's saying I don't have enough space, and I know that's a lie. That's a damn lie. I have 7 terabytes. damn it. You're gonna make me log in. Pressing the button. Ah! Hold on. I gotta find my account. Best authenticator apps for iOS. YubiKey. I'm sexy. I'm a scholar. People like me. Ah. Did I really forget my email? I really have not played this game in so long. I should have done this like before stream. But you know, gotta do all these damn captchas. I swear I'm a real boy! I'm clicking all the objects! I really hate how you have to like click 50 million things, you get one tile wrong, and suddenly it's like, nope, that's not the thing. I'm really getting annoyed at this CAPTCHA. There we go. Okay. Oh, really? Are you sure you're real? I'm a real boy! God damn it. I got the CAPTCHA working, and then it suddenly was like, no, we're not gonna have the site work. Now we gotta click the stairs. Now we gotta click the bike. Is Molbad VPN better than Proton's VPN? Define better. It's a VPN. I mean, in both of those examples, you're basically just having your connection route out to somewhere else. Now, I really only use Molvad when I'm, you know, at DEF CON and stuff, but Proton is better if you're, you know, wanting to watch media abroad. But if you're just trying to watch it while you're in your own home network, a VPN's not going to matter much. Okay, did that actually go to my email? No, that did not. And paying with credit card or worse, PayPal, it really doesn't make a difference. Yeah, I can believe that. Okay, so we're trying to figure this out. Volvat is 100% more private, but only if you pay in crypto like XMR. Yeah. But the issue is that Molvad does not work when you are like trying to do Netflix and stuff like that. That's the only issue I have. There we go. I don't know why, for some reason, I just opened it up through my phone and then suddenly the website was working. Man, I just work here. Now we gotta wait for it to go through my email security stuff. Did it go to my junk? There we go. Warframe password reset. XCP-NG versus Proxmox. I haven't done XCP-NG, but I hear good things. Okay, so let's go to the bit buttons. Alright, so let's get that. Alright. Let's make an item this time so I don't forget the password. That was a total noob move. I think I actually know where the password is, but I'm going to reset it anyway. I just realized that. Oh well. Select that password. We're going to save that password. Got your own domain. Now what? Hook it into an email system. I like Microsoft 365. Then Microsoft 365 can walk you through setting up the DNS entries for it. Then you can have your email hooked in. So then you can make yourself like bob@ross.com. What I would also look at doing is maybe make yourself like a WordPress or something account. So you have a blog, and then you can tie that in to your domain. So then you can go to like bob.com, and then you now have, you know, where you have your little journal or stuff like that. I missed the first part. I was stimming. That's cool. So basically what I was saying is like you can make yourself a blog with like WordPress or something like it doesn't have to be WordPress. There's many options out there. And then what you can basically do is have a blog for all of your work as you're doing it. This way you can actually kind of use the blog to document your journey with tech. So when you go to get a job, you can actually have that tied in. Good employers will look at that stuff. So I got a lot of my jobs. Okay. Hey, Bitwarden, why are you being a prick? You're gonna really make me do this? Okay, so let's go in. Alright, so now I gotta verify the little code. I have not logged into this game in 2 years. What password manager to use? I use, several. For different reasons. I segment my passwords for work, personal, side job. I keep everything segmented. So I use Proton Pass, I use Bitwarden, I use KeyPass XC. I've also used Jump Cloud Password Manager. I've used Delinea. There's quite a few. I have them all segmented out. Maybe this intro, I pray that Jesus brings you many blessings. Well, I'm Jewish, so... Right pew, wrong Jew? But happy hacking, bud. And do all these certs just to add a little cherry on top of my resume. So here's the thing. As you watch in my video where I talk about certs, having too many certs and not enough experience can actually be a detriment to your career. People want to see that you have the experience to back things up, so ease into the amount of certs you have. Yeah, just do 1 or 2. I only have 1. Okay, so what is this? Achieve the rank of Gold Initiate. Oh.
Ordis is pleased to see you.
You have new quests in your codex.
Okay, so we gotta fix the windowing.
He's attempting to contact the operator.
So...
Check your inbox.
Where? There we go. That's a little better. Now, let us get some music. What are we feeling? Go to the radio over here. Hold on.
Sometimes Ordis likes to assume he knows nothing.
All right.
Nobody can learn what they think they already know.
I think that was double playing for a second. By the way, if you're on the tubes, you don't got music. That's right. Okay, let's see if I can remember this game. It's been a while. Wait, where do we go? All right, let's see. Oh, we had a mastery rank up. Yeah, we'll play a little bit more. I haven't played this game since 2023, so you're gonna have to bear with me. Okay, let's see. Status, 99.8%. Thoughts on the Epstein files? New account? No. It's my old account I haven't logged into in a minute. Actually, forgot to put my password in my password manager I use for my content stuff. Ah!
A steady stream of toxic spores is being released into the area. Hold on.
I'm trying to remember this freaking game. How do I do this? How the hell did I configure my shit? Okay. Did I just get some people dropping or something? How many password managers you got? Not enough. Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. I know my style, and I know that I like to shoot things. It's gonna take me a minute to remember this game. But I remember I was addicted to this for a minute. Hell, we keep having hosts migrate into this. Oh yeah, that's right. This gun just reloads. I can't even remember my old loadouts.
Delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time.
Okay, let me see. What was the different weapons that we had in here? Okay, I was like, why is my desk vibrating? My controller's still plugged in. For some reason, my chat's not showing up. It must have been when I, set that up. Hold on. Just bringing my chat screen back up because it wasn't loading. There we go. I'm kind of surprised I'm not dead.
Another life support capsule is now available.
Okay, come on. Hey, can somebody say something in the chat just to make sure my reload of my screen worked? Hey, thank you. Okay, cool. So we're working. Sorry, I had to like completely reset it. Okay, we got the ticks, the twitch, and the tubes. Something in the chat. Okay, smart ass. Are you going to DEF CON next month? Most likely. I've got my accommodations booked a few months ago, but I put insurance down just in case I couldn't. I'm probably going to be at B-Sides as well if I do go. I've already got the PTO and stuff requested off, but, you know, man plans, God laughs. I like to expect the best, prepare for the worst. Raz, I did not see your previous messages. I am sorry. My, little menu froze up. Bad doggy! Bad doggy!
The operative has just made their first discovery. Keep up the... Extraction is available if you need it.
Oh, that's what I was looking for. I couldn't remember my melee attack.
Life support has been replenished.
Oh, where's the players?
Delivered another life support capsule. Life support activated.
I have not played this game in like so long. Basically something karma happened to my old boss and it's mad hilarious. Oh, what happened? You did not just come up in my face like that. I was so focused on that little area and trying to regain my buttons.
The life support has arrived.
Hey. Sometime I've wanted to go with the burner phone, leave the Bluetooth hot just to see what happens. Honestly, the worst that's happened on when I did that was someone was doing their BLE spam testing. Shit.
Life support activated. Life support has been replenished. Another life support capsule.
God damn.
Available.
Come on. Rip, rip, stabby, stab, rip, rip.
We will all share in this bounty.
Oh yeah, I gotta turn off my background music. It was clashing. I was like, why does it sound weird? Come on. But yeah, I think people overhype DEF CON when it comes to, oh, I gotta be on, you know, my, like, paranoid level of security. Just don't do anything stupid you wouldn't do in a, cafe. Come on. Oh. Come on. Save me. I'm helpless. God damn it. Live in a rural area, so tend to not have a lot of hackers here. Are you telling me? What are you telling me? You hack crops all the time.
Life support has arrived.
Are we all down? Okay. And we're back up. I got an unpaid internship, through a connection to this guy's IT company. He kept putting off my offer. He was trying to get as much free work as he could. He was mad, disrespectful, and pit fights with me over stupid shit all the time. That sucks. Hold on. I glitched out there. The taking can't hold. Okay, I got an unpaid internship through this guy's IT company. He kept putting off my offer. He was trying to get as much free work out of me as he could. He was mad disrespectful and pick fights with me over stupid S all the time. He also did a ton of objectively bad IT practices that made me wonder how the F that guy stayed in business. For example, I'm waiting for the continuation, Shiraz. You have me on my edge of my seat.
In your codex.
Inbox messages await the operator. I wonder what they say.
Deno, recently.
Hey, Chip. So there's a
Let's go look at my suit so I can remember what the hell I put in here. Okay, so I have a vehicle, a void rig. I have a K drive. Okay. I'm trying to remember all of what I had. Oh yeah, and that's right. I finished the tutorial and got the dude.
Ordis keeps a tidy ship, and is therefore reluctant to allow animals on board. In Ordis's experience, animals do not eat so much as reload.
Alright, let's see. Did I have a mastery rank up? What was the test?
A full frontal attack is not always the best option. Using your stealth abilities, eliminate all enemies without being detected.
I don't like this. I like to be the guy to shooty shoot. God damn it! How the hell did I climb up that? Come take my hand. We're still together. I do not play this game for stealth. I play this game to shoot crap. God damn it! I don't like that. I don't like the fact that the mastery rank ups have nothing to do with how I play my game. Don't hate the player, hate the game.
Is available in your codex.
This guy got mad when I put in my 2 weeks and yelled at me for half an hour. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna leave a negative review about that company on Glassdoor and everything, and then, right? God damn it! Why the hell does it climb up the box? What the fuck? Okay, good. That did not count as an attempt. Hooray! I posted something before that. Good. We do not reward toxicity. Also, speaking of toxic, has anyone else been keeping up on the whole, like, stop killing games drama around pirate software? I found it really interesting that the entire community just collectively, like, decided to go, F that guy. And the funny thing was, I never really cared about him. It was just one of those, like, okay. He had some takes that I didn't agree with, but it was like, it's not really worth it getting into it too much. I made a video on it too. Yeah, I made a couple of videos. But I did it more from the cybersecurity angle, because he had a couple of bad cybersecurity takes in the past. Like, bad ones that, if you've been in the field more than a few months, you actually know that these little things. Like, if you talk about, like, the whole idea of, stop killing games, it basically comes down to BCPDR. I am not a stealth build. I am an F 'em up build. But did you see, what was it, this dude Coding Jesus made a video on just how bad his code was? And I was like, see, I'm not a big coder. I know a little bit on how to code and stuff like that. But it was like, when he was talking through it, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's kind of weird. And I just realized there's a mini-map with the guy, you know, up there. So I can do that. We played Cyberpunk yet? Cool, I will take a look at that after the stream, bud. Thanks for sharing that. Have I played Cyberpunk yet? Oh, I played Cyberpunk long ago. I haven't beat it yet. You down to some blood, living the way down. Living the way down. The DLC in the main game's story is some of the best, and the bugs have been fixed. I think it was fixed a while ago when I was last playing. You know, don't see me, don't see me. Turn around, turn around. That's right. I'm gonna stick this right up your booty hole. I do not have a gun. I only have a sword. The computer mostly, technician mostly, I did SKG on that angle. Makes sense. It's just been so interesting to see all the people come out from a professional angle that Pirate claimed to be and get creamed on every single one of them. And not in the fun way of creaming.
To the window, to the walls, till the sweat drips right on down my balls.
How am I supposed to do this? That's why they call me Bad Company. I won't deny. Bad company till the day I die. How the hell am I supposed to do this? I hate the fact that this game, Warframe, is like, yeah, you're gonna do a stealth build. No one does stealth in this game. Any tips, fam? Oh, this is Warframe. I haven't played this game literally in 2 years. Right now, we're trying to do a mastery rank quest. But, okay. We got one left. I am not a stealth build, but somehow I'm doing a stealth mission. Missed part of my story. It did not come up. Is it running on Proton Steam? Yeah, it's running on Proton. Do not turn around, do not turn around, do not turn around, do not turn around. Ah! Hold on, let me see if I got the chat coming here. Oh. Noise Bomb also said, I'm looking for some tips. I have an interview for a QA technician next, but I only really have entry level 2 years of experience, amount of experience in software engineer. What would you suggest in terms of interview prep? Honestly, study the company. See if you can get an insight into what they're looking for in their stacks and everything like that. I'm not much of a software engineer, but yeah. Tried Hackintosh, but I have an AMD CPU. You can, I think, do that, but Hackintosh isn't as great as it used to be. God damn it! All right, let me try that again, because I need to get another rank up.
A full frontal attack is not always the best option.
Look, full frontal... Hey, look, full frontal is always the best option. In more ways than one. Watch it before you got me. I guess I hated big paragraphs. That might be the issue. I have some controls around like spam and stuff like that. Sorry about that. Split it into two. My advice on the QA interview, prepare examples for when you intentionally broke something to make it even better in the end. Yeah? Makes sense. Right up the booty hole. Come here. Just a little further. Butt stuff. He never backed up his phone, so when it bricked, he threw a tantrum for 3 hours. He also wanted me to do a virus removal by reinstalling Windows and keeping all the data just to keep the client happy. My coworkers looked at each other like this guy was effing stupid. Yeah, I've had moments like that. Come on, buddy. Step right up, step right up. Get your sword right up your butt. Oh, that was close. That was close. That was close. He didn't see me, did he? I am the knight. That's right. That's... This is why I like to go in and shoot things. God damn it! I freaking sprinted in. I am the one who knocks. For some reason, I was like hitting shift right by control, and then it made me like Rockstar in, and I effed myself. I effed myself in the A. So we're gonna try this again. I really hate that they have these like little things that like make no sense for the skills. I think they just do this to be like, hey, let's see how we can piss off people in Warframe.
Stealth abilities eliminate all enemies without being detected.
Oh, that was Breaking Bad? Go to bed. What you thought of me? Fucking A. I need to get like all those. Is this running through Wine? Well, technically, but it's Proton. Yeah, this game's worked on Linux for years.
A full frontal attack is not always the best option. Using your stealth abilities, eliminate all enemies without being detected.
I love how they're like, a full frontal attack is not always, the best idea. But, like, most of this game is literally going in and just going full bore. Looks native. Well, a lot of games actually run just as well, if not better, on Linux than they do on Windows. If I had my gun, I could pop a cap in your butt. That's right, turn around. Show me that butt. I think he likes butt stuff. Both games without invasive anti-cheat work on Linux in my experience to varying degrees. Oh, I absolutely agree. Thanks for the follow, Moda R. Dun, na, na, na. You didn't see me? I am a figment of your imagination. Now turn around so I can stab your ass. In the not so fun way. There you go. That's right. Like I said, in the not so fun way. Mods especially can have missing file errors due to case mismatches. Thanks, inconsistent devs. Oh, yeah. I remember trying to get some mods in Oblivion. The remaster was kind of a pain figuring out where I had to dump the files into. And then also the Skyrim, not Skyrim, the Oblivion engine optimizations were a pain. Because I had to figure out where the files were. Never ending, never ending, same old story. What if I say you're not like the other? What if I say you're not just another one of your slaves? Not a pretender. What if I say they'll never surrender? What if I say they're not like the others? What if I say you're not like another one of your slaves? Come on. Just a little bit closer. Okay, one of you are left. I say you're not just another one of your days. What do you depend on? What if I say you'll never surrender? What if I say you're not like the others? What if I say you're not just another one of your days? Not a pretender. What if I say you'll never surrender? Come on. I know you want me. I know you want me. I know you want me. Gotcha, bitch. You need one of those cardboard boxes from Metal Gear Solid. I'm just a box. Just ignore the box. You know, I really haven't played Metal Gear Solid since I was a kid. We should do that sometime. Like, I completely forgot the story and everything. It's been so long. Okay, let's see the pattern. I wish I had like a throwing weapon or something. Which way are you gonna go? Okay, so let's see. You're gonna come around, and then which way are you gonna turn? You're just gonna walk back? Just a box. Hey! It's control, and I thought it never was up to me. Okay, so I think he's gonna circle around. Yeah, good. Okay. Okay. Wait for him to turn. And then we're gonna go strike. Okay, so they can't hear me as well. Okay, so which way are you gonna go? Make up the specs of a Dell server by using the BIOS. Hold on. But the BIOS was corrupt because it was displaying CPUs that didn't exist. He told me to go with it anyway, despite the fact that he planned to sell it. Eventually, I let my better judgment take over. I ran a Dell system scan, flashed the BIOS, then it displayed the correct CPU. Yeah, you'll unfortunately come across some pretty unethical people in business. Certainty. And I'm just control. Rockstar! I'm just a box. Was that it? Was that it? Motherfucking yeah, y'all! I hate how hard that was. That should not have been that hard.
Ordis has received messages for the operator. No, I have not read them.
All the world I've seen before me passing by. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't feel about how I feel. I don't feel you anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore.
No one stands up for them, but Steel Meridian. All right, you're in. I hope you prove me wrong. I've been burned before.
Passing by, no choice. The world has seen before me passing by. You don't care about how I feel. I don't care anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. You don't care about how I feel. I don't feel it anymore. Don't fear. Okay. Ooh, kinky.
We're ready, Natal.
So quiet. So...
On top of everything else, this guy was mad disorganized. Oh, yeah. Sounds like he had a nightmare situation of a guy that just was going to take advantage of you no matter what. Unfortunately, you're going to go through a few bad employers throughout your career no matter what. Because you got to go through the bad employers before you actually get to the good employers. And it builds character because it teaches you to stand up for yourself and, you know, figure out where you're going to be on the morality side of things.
Bring peace. Bring purity.
I'm playing on Pop OS.
The Lotus, I attacked you.
You remember?
You died.
You don't remember everything then. Yes, your aphids wounded me, and our forces were depleting fast. I knew I had failed. Failed you, my sister. Failed our family. I had no choice but to retreat.
No. You were destroyed.
You also have an issue with pasting from clipboard to Warframe? Nope.
You were still recovering.
I just did it for logging in because I had to reset my password and everything. It works just fine. I have also not played Warframe since like April 30th of 2023, apparently. So this is my first time playing in a long time, and I had to relearn my entire build and character, and I've only been playing for an hour. I'll be playing it more often. I think I played it so much I got burned out. Can't paste for some reason. I had to make a script for it to work. Interesting. Several hours to complete. You will be able to pause the game and your progress. Prepare likewise. Loadouts will be limited and regular Warframe will not be.
Sorry. Ordis will play with the volume off.
We can do that another time. But now... Oh no, the new war. Yeah, I haven't played it yet. I literally just got back in, so... I just want to play another mission or two before I call it a night. I like how I actually named my loadouts. Stabby McStabber and Shoot and Stab. Around 11 p.m. Yep. Yeah, I'm ready. Lay it on me, bud. Used to, just like he's pulling me in, already under my skin, and I know exactly how this ends. I let you cut me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am for who you wanted me to be. Don't know why I'm hoping for what I won't receive. Longing from the promise of the emptiness machine. The emptiness machine. Oh, it's 5 a.m. in the EU? Yeah, it's early for y'all.
At our doorstep. You must defend our equipment until reinforcements arrive.
Falling around like a revolver. It's been decided how we lose. 'Cause there's a fire under the altar. I keep on lying to. I keep on lying to. Already pulling me in. Already under my skin. And I love exactly how this ends. Why let me pop me open just to watch me bleed. Gave up who I am. Alright, that wave's cleared. So I do have to say what's her face? The new girl that took over for Chester Bennington. She can wail. I missed her in the most recent concert when I went to Sonic Temple. But I did get to see Metallica, and what you call it. Oh god, there was such a great lineup. Who was it? Lead my friend Alice Cooper. I saw Alice Cooper, Rob Zombie. So as much as I wanted to see Linkin Park, I was far more happy about the entire lineup I did get to see.
Transference still holding. Move and strike. We have to win this.
I like Linkin Park just because it was in Transformers. Am I going to DEF CON? Possibly. It's a very good likelihood. I've already got my accommodations set, but you know what they say, man plans, God laughs, so we'll see what happens. If you are interested in meeting up with me at DEF CON, I am planning to have some small meetups and stuff. Nothing fancy, just, hey, I'm at B-Sides. Come grab a drink with me by the pool. Hey, I'm at DEF CON. The DEF CON shoot.
Available. Do you choose to leave now or continue fighting? Keep fighting. Another opportunity to extract will...
Transformers as a kid. Oh God, you're that young. I saw Transformers when I was a teen. I listened to Linkin Park in my very emotional days. But yeah, pay attention to the Discord for announcements for the meetups and stuff. I may possibly have a lane reserved for the DEF CON shoot if you are doing that. Not so young, not so old. You can't drink alcohol in the US. You are young. You can't rent a car. Is Packet Tracer good enough for network administrator roles, or is a physical lab necessary? Packet Tracer can help you learn quite a few of the concepts and stuff, but to be completely honest, you will learn more doing a physical lab. But of course, a physical lab is going to require money to be expensed for all the hardware, unless you're lucky to pick up some managed switches, a router, and everything like that. Because the thing is, Cisco Packet Tracer is mostly focusing on Cisco stuff, and it's the logical configuration. Having the physical, actual, like, skills to do the thing, even if you're doing it like I did, where I started with pfSense and then tacked on managed switches originally with Netgear, then on Unify, will help out a lot more because it can translate into a lot of other vendors. Here's the thing. The concepts like you're doing, whether it's on Cisco or stuff, they'll translate to if you do a WatchGuard, a Sophos, or things like that. The big difference is, more or less, how you actually configure the thing to get the end result that you're looking for.
Attack us and we will counter.
You quit drinking many years ago? Well, here's the thing. As you get into adulthood, you're gonna be drinking more. Why? 'Cause this world sucks. But I'm no longer a fan of drinking. And the worst stuff in my mind after drinking. So, shrooms? So how do I use these skills?
Extraction is ready. Unless you can handle more of the enemy. Continue to defend. You will be rewarded for your bravery.
Come on.
Oh, you're very welcome, bud. Happy hacking. Slash, slash, slash. Did you kill my finisher? Alright, that wave is cleared. Can we go for more?
For the Lotus.
Rip, rip, stabby, stab, rip, rip. And down she goes! Down, boy. Can you smoke as 18 in US or also 21? I don't smoke, so I think smoking is 18. Yeah, I think smoking... But some states have moved it to 21, if I recall. Yeah, it depends on the state, but federally they did a thing years ago that requires you to be 21. It was tied to some highway state funding bill in order for you to drink. Because honestly, I think the drinking age should be 18. Hell, I think the drinking age should actually be 16. I lived in Europe. I feel like we infantilize our kids a little bit too much in this country. Oh, you can't really be an adult until you're 18. Oh, you're not really an adult at 18. USA. Or do you mean what country I actually lived in? I lived in Germany. I was in Germany for a few months on contract many years ago. I lucked into a little position out there. I regret leaving. I should have gone, you know, made my way back.
Reinforcements available. Do you choose to leave now or continue fighting?
Fine, we will go. Wimps.
Time to evacuate.
Move and strike. We have to win this.
Alright, let's at least get one more mission done. Let's do one more mission before we end the night. US is cool and bad. Highly depends on... What the... Did Warframe just crash? That was weird. US is cool and bad. Highly depends on your political views, I assume. It depends on where you're at. But right now, it is kind of crappy because of Trump. I will not lie. God damn it. Alright, let me grab my password. Although, was it better during Biden? It was okay. Interesting. It moved to a whole other monitor, so now I gotta relaunch it. I don't know why it did that. That was weird. The USA has always had its issues, but Trump has made it a lot worse in different regards, and the economy's gotten tougher because he just causes a lot of uncertainty, which is causing a lot of businesses to second guess their expenditures. Oh. I might have to forward these ports. Interesting. Don't know why it didn't give me that error earlier. See, I don't have UPnP enabled on my devices because I don't like universal plug and play. I don't like the idea of a device automatically port forwarding things. So I'll have to selectively allow the port. The hell? It just keeps doing that. Sometimes I have this warning too. Oh, you do? I've set up port forwarding, but I don't have any issues. Okay. I don't know why it keeps crashing when I load that game. I may have to, like, reinstall Warframe, because it's literally sat on my computer for a couple of years, and I just reinstalled it. I may get that reinstall started after this stream. I want to at least try to do one more mission if I can. wonder if it's the Proton or nope, it's just not liking it. That's annoying. Alright. It's about 11 anyway. I'm gonna start the reinstall for this. Let's snooze the ad because we're not gonna have that roll. Anyway, thank you for joining me. And if you haven't, yeah, it was weird it was working and now it's not. I don't know why. I'll have to reinstall Warframe, see where we're going. But thank you all for joining me. If you haven't already, make sure to follow me on all my socials. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, YouTube. I said YouTube twice. Kick, Blue Sky, Mastodon. I'm pretty much everywhere you can find. You can find the links in bio, and if you haven't already, join the Discord as well as the Matrix server I have, and I'll keep y'all posted about the DEF CON updates and everything. Next week, we're going to be doing more gaming on Linux, of course, but we're going to be setting up my devices for DEF CON updates, things like that. We still got to get this little guy over here primed to hopefully become my little laptop for my talks I'm going to, so I can do some note-taking and everything. Put a cell modem in this, put a better Wi-Fi antenna in here. That should hopefully fix my Wi-Fi issues. We did some mods on that. And then we'll get my Purism laptop for the security stuff, and all that. I don't know if I'll be creating, doing any live streams while I'm out on, at DEF CON, if I make it out there. But I will try to be making some content and stuff like that. I have my DJI Pocket camera, and I may do like little vlogs, but I won't be recording too much while I'm there, but more of a recap or little glimpses of things, because I do need to keep the privacy of people around there, of course, a priority. But thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, like I said, follow me on all the socials. Movie night, Discord, Saturday night. What movie did I pick? I'm trying to remember what did I pick for this Saturday. This Saturday is Tropic Thunder, the 2008 comedy movie. So, yeah, join us on the Discord there. Love y'all. Stick around for the raid if you're ever on Twitch. Otherwise, I will see you later. There will not be a stream tomorrow. I've got some local cybersecurity group stuff to do. There may be a stream Friday, no guarantee. Movie night Saturday night, like I said. And then, for sure, Sunday we'll be back for a stream. Love y'all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. And stick around for the raid if you're on Twitch.